Okay, so it's like 2:30 a.m. I just finished watching Smile 2022. This movie came out September of 22, so um, well over a year ago. And good God, I've got to talk about it. Spoiler warning if you haven't seen it. I personally cannot recommend it, but it seems that I am in the tiny minority, because I have never found anyone who shares this opinion of mine. So, spoiler warning 3, 2, 1. I fucking hate bad endings. I cannot I cannot understand why anybody wants to watch a movie with a bad ending. It it boggles my mind. Like, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because everyone I talk to, I've never gotten somebody who agrees with me, that understands, like, oh yeah, I hate it when a movie has a bad ending. Like, tell me this. I'm serious. Explain this to me. Somebody go down in the comments right now. This is not engagement bait, okay? I don't have an active YouTube channel. This is just videos I make for fun. Like, tell me in the comments, why do you want to sit through 2 hours of building up a story? You know, they've got great characters. That's the thing about Smile. They build everything up perfectly, okay? The first 90%, I don't know, I didn't look at the timestamps, but the vast majority of the movie is perfect. It's not perfect, but it's good, okay? It's just the ending is so bad that by comparison, the rest of it looks amazing. But the characters are good, which is rare for a horror movie. Okay, the plot is good. It's a little bit derivative, but that's okay because, you know, there's been so many ideas done in horror, and you can take an old idea and make it good again. And they did that. Um, so it's got good characters. It's got a good plot. You know, the tension builds up really well. The visuals are um, decent. I would say it has striking visuals for the most part, because most of the visuals are not that, like, technically complicated until the ending. Because most of it is just that creepy smile, you know, and all you have to do is, you know, you angle the head down and I don't know. I can't do a good, like, it's like a Joker smile. I can't really do that with the mustache, but you get the idea. Um, that was a tangent. What was I talking about? Yeah, they build everything up to an amazing payoff. Amazing. You know, and the only thing I can think of as I'm watching this movie is, damn, this thing seems unstoppable. How are they gonna pull it all together? You know, how are they gonna tie a neat little bow around it? And and then it's just, and the worst part is, they have a good ending in the movie. It's already there. Just carry it out. Just carry out that ending. You know, show the aftermath. It doesn't seem like it would be that hard, because the problem is, there's another movie that's like this, okay, Brightburn, which came out in 19. Um, and I actually saw that in the cinema. I went and saw that with my mom, and I gave her this same rant after that movie. Why, oh, why did they have a bad ending? That doesn't make sense to me. And the problem with Brightburn was, it just reeks of laziness in that case, because it's like you build everything up, you know, and you've got everything coming together for, you know, you're thinking, how are they going to stop this kid? Like, you know, you're wondering, what is the writer going to pull out of his ass to make this an amazing story and just tie it all together. And then they just don't do it. They just have a bad ending. He just kills his mom. Like, what the fuck? I actually, no, they had the same problem in that one, where she had the solution, and she came this close. She came this close to stopping the kid. It's coming back to me. The point is, I can't even chalk it up to laziness. They did this deliberately. They had a good ending, and it actually, you see it start. You see the ending begin to play out. And then they reverse, they change course, and they throw everything away. They throw away that whole good story that they had. And I just don't get it, man. Like, why the fuck would you want to sit through all of that and watch, an amazing story, and then at the end, it just feels like my time was wasted. That's 2 hours of my life that I'm not going to get back. I can't rewatch this movie either. I can't rewatch this movie and enjoy it up until the point that it turns to shit. Because I know that my time's being wasted. I can't rewatch it. It's like, I'm trying to think of another example. The only other examples I can think of are not exactly the same thing, but a similar idea that there are certain things you can't do with the story and have it still be a good story. So I'm thinking of The Walking Dead, um, which everyone knows about the historic fall from grace that The Walking Dead had. It was amazing, and then it just slowly just petered out. But for me, the last straw was when they killed Glenn. Because Glenn was there from the beginning. Like the beginning, I think the first episode even, you know, where he comes in on the walkie-talkie, or maybe that was the second episode. But I'm saying, like, when they killed Glenn, I was like, okay, that's, they've gone too far. They've killed off somebody that I never ever wanted to see die. And they had killed off other good characters before then. Characters that I really liked. Like, Jeffrey DeMunn's character, Dale. Dale. When they killed Dale, I was distraught, but it was, it was like, okay, well, we'll see where they're going from here, because the story's still good, I'm still into it, and, but with Glenn, it was like, there was no reason, you know? Negan's just gonna go kill a random guy. It could be anybody. And they killed Abraham, and I was like, oh no, that sucks, Abraham was a good character, but I didn't care about Abraham the same way that I cared about Glenn, because the thing with Glenn is he already has an arc in motion. He is a husband, he is a father now. And with Abraham, it's just like, this is just. He didn't really have much of a story going on. So seeing him die was not that bothersome for me. Glenn was different, is what I'm getting at. There are certain things you can't do in a story. You have to complete a story. If you start a story, you can't just, oh, it's gone, And that's what they did with Smile. That's what I feel they did with Smile, because there is no conclusion, there's no resolution to what's going on there, I mean, I like horror. I like the idea of a good horror movie. There just aren't that many of them. And I'm not saying that you can't have. Let me think about this. Can you have a story where it doesn't wrap up at the end? I think so. Because not all horror is story driven. Some horror is just. It's about the. Well, it's about the horror, Like, I'm thinking of like creepypastas. Like, well, the only creepypasta I ever read as a kid was the Russian sleep experiment. And, the ending there sucks from the perspective that I'm talking about. But it actually doesn't, because the the arc of the story, I'm trying to think of a concise way to put this. It's like the not the arc of the story, the idea of the story, the focus of the story is not on the plot or the characters. It's about showcasing the central concept, which in the Russian sleep experiment, the central concept is, they're doing this stimulant gas therapy in Russia in the 40s, and so they take these political prisoners and they put them under this gas, and then what happens if you stay awake for too long? And the characters, they go insane, or maybe they're possessed by demons or something. Um, there are different theories, but the point is, the focus of the story is not on following these characters through an arc. The focus is just what happens to them, you know? And so, I think that works. But when you have a story that is plot driven, like with Smile or with Brightburn, where you're following well constructed characters through a through an arc, that arc has to be completed. Let me think of another good example. A Quiet Place. A Quiet Place is great. I loved it. Even though the dad dies. Well, the dad dies, but he has a good reason for it. Okay? And of course, that story has a good ending. So it's not one to one what I'm comparing here, but it is similar because an individual character can have a story. Right? That's what I was saying about Glenn versus Abraham. I didn't care about Abraham because he didn't have an arc. Glenn was well into his arc. My fiance just texted me some nonsense. uh, she and I have been arguing about this movie because she wanted me to see this, and I never got around to it until now. This movie, I mean, Smile. She wanted me to see Smile because she really liked it. And yeah, I asked her, why did you like it? Because I was trying to just understand, like, what is it about bad endings that people actually enjoy? And she said, because it's different. And I was like, okay, whatever that means. But I digress. I was just so frustrated at the end. What was I saying about characters? Yeah, individual characters can have arcs. So when the dad in A Quiet Place dies, I was like, no, no, but I didn't hate it. Not from a story perspective. It was more like I'm emotionally invested in this character because it's a good character. But it doesn't feel frustrating. It doesn't piss me off. It doesn't make me feel like I've wasted my time watching this movie like Smile does. Because that character had completed his arc. And so I was sort of okay with him dying because there was a good reason for it. He was saving the kids. Actually, I think I remember at the time kind of poking holes in it, like, oh, they didn't have to kill him, you know, There, there was a plot hole. I don't remember it now, but the point is, you know, it made enough sense in the story. Whereas Smile just, it doesn't like, it doesn't work for me. And again, give me a comment in the comments section if you can explain this, if you can tell me why it is that you enjoy a bad story. Because I'll just say it, it's a bad story. You can't tell stories like that. It's, and I know, like I said, I know I'm in the tiny minority here, but damn it, I'm putting my fist down and I'm saying, bring back good endings. Make good endings great again. And I've also heard this, people say, um, I made a post on Reddit about the Walking Dead thing, and I also tied Game of Thrones into that, and I said, um, Game of Thrones is overrated, what did I call it? Overrated, stinky garbage. Something along those lines. I might have said smelly or trash or something, but that was the point was, you know, and the Game of Thrones is the worst offender in my opinion when it comes to killing characters because they do it on purpose. Like, there's a cruelty about the way they do it, and I have refused to watch Game of Thrones for that reason. Because I know that he intentionally builds his characters up, he makes these amazing characters, and then for no reason at all, just kills them for shock value. Like, what's the point of that? What the fuck is the point of that? If I wanted to see the bad guys win, I just go watch the news. I'll go, I'll go look at, history books or something if I want to see bad guys win. Why do I want to sit here and watch it on the screen? The point of watching stories is escapism. I don't want reality in my stories. That's what stories are for, is to get away from reality, look a little bit deeper at it sometimes, and sometimes just have fun. And there's nothing fun to me about a good character dying for no reason. I recall in the Epic Rap Battles episode, it was George R. R. Martin and J.R.R. Tolkien. And J.R.R. Yes, Tolkien, let me recall his bars. He says, what does he say? He says, yes, of course, the world is full of chaos and anarchy. So while it's true to life for characters to die randomly, newsflash, the genre is called fantasy. It's supposed to be unrealistic. And that's how I feel not only about fantasy, but about stories in general. It's not supposed to have that level of realism. Is there anything else I wanted to say? Oh, that's right. The reason I brought up the rat post. So, the response that I got to that, somebody said to me, something along the lines of, it's like childish if you want the good guys to win. And I was like, what's childish about that? In real life I want the good guys to win. Why wouldn't I want that in my stories? You know? I mean, I guess, I want the good guys to win in real life. I want the bad guys to win in the movie. That doesn't make sense to me either because I want the good guys to win in real life because I don't see the good guys always win in real life. I usually see the bad guys win. Because, well, history is just the story of bad guys winning, and and my Christian ideas are kind of creeping in there because all all people are bad guys. But I digress. You get what I'm saying. Um, but yeah, I don't think it's childish. And you know what? If it is, I don't really care. I'm unashamed of it. I want good stories. I want good characters. I want good endings. And I don't really care for bad endings. Like, let me think of another good example. Shutter Island. Um, Great movie. I love Shutter Island. I do highly recommend that. Um, so, spoilers, go watch that one if you haven't. Um, but Shutter Island, the main character does die in the end. And it's sad. For sure, it's sad. But it works. It works in Shutter Island because you understand, like, why. You understand why he makes the decision that he makes. So, I don't know. There is a way to do it right. And Smile just didn't do it right. So, that's all. Rant over. Have a blessed day.